mayor is starting his last year in office after deciding to pull out of his re-election bid.
I sat down with Charlie Hales to talk about issues the city faces, and one of the things we talked about is Portland's homeless population and if he can do a better job to get people off the streets.
What can you do about the homeless problem in the next year?
That's a big area of our focus, and we have made great gains this year.
Mayor Charlie Hales insists he's making progress despite all the people you see on Portland's streets. In October, he declared a housing emergency, and the city opened a new shelter for women and couples. He announced this vacant downtown building will be a temporary shelter for men. At the beginning of last year, the city started a Home for Every Veteran campaign. There are 700 veterans on the streets. Portland is finding 60 homes every month.
We don't have to have a situation in which we're really now in a position of saying, well, you can't sleep there, and I can't tell you where you can sleep. That's not an acceptable answer.
The 2015 count of the homeless in Portland, Gresham, and Multnomah County shows good and bad news. The bad, 3,800 people are still homeless. The number of homeless women jumped 15%. The good, the homeless population did not increase from 2013. There was a 17% decrease in chronic homelessness. So why the perception of a growing problem?
I think part of it is just the visibility of it, Dan, that, it used to be that what we now call the Pearl District was a rail yard and skid road, and nobody cared that much about what happened there. And now we have a lot of people living in that neighborhood, working in that neighborhood, shopping in that neighborhood. 20 years ago, there were 2 retail businesses north of Burnside in what we now call the Pearl District. Now there are 450 fancy dress shops, great restaurants. So people are going to where the homeless always were, who didn't used to go there.
Hales touts the city spending $67 million on affordable housing and renters protection. Over the next year, he wants to start a $20 million fund for shelters, rent assistance, and housing placement. He wants to move the Right to Dream 2 encampment at the entrance to Chinatown to a longer-term location. He says it's an example of why the homeless problem appears worse now. They're better equipped.
They tend to have tents and tarps, not simply sleeping in a doorway, but more permanently encamped than they used to be. And that has increased the visibility of the same number of people that we've had all along.
The mayor is frustrated the legislature hasn't given the city the power to require developers include affordable housing in new developments. Meanwhile, State Treasurer Ted Wheeler, who is running for Hales' office, says he does believe the homeless problem is getting worse.